Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Nick Dianni. And normally I would tell you this is your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. But every now and then the planets align and we get one of the perfect weekends of football. And we have been beyond blessed this weekend. Sunday's slate is maybe one of the most glorious days of footy I have seen in a long time. We're going to be without club football for 2 weeks. And let me tell you, we are going to eat and go into hibernation and be totally fine for 2 weeks on Sunday slate. So clear your calendar. Tell your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, I don't care. Tell them you'll talk to them on Monday because we have one of the greatest betting days of our entire lives ahead of us on Sunday. Sunday starts with a big match with Napoli. They travel to Venezia, huge for the Serie A table. Then we go to a London derby. It's Arsenal-Chelsea. I don't need to explain anything more to you about that. Then, oh yeah, with just a quick stop down the line to Wembley for a cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle before we close our day with Le Classique with PSG and Marseille, Atalanta Inter, a huge one in Serie A, and oh yeah, Atletico and Barcelona. There is absolutely no reason you shouldn't be gambling from 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday until that 4 o'clock p.m. game kicks off for Atletico Barcelona. And we today are going to help you find your best bets for all of that. We are going to get started on Saturday. But Nick, are you excited? Because I don't think I've ever been more jacked up. Like I don't think I could ever say anything more inspirational than I just said ahead of Sunday's slate.
Wise man once told me you can't gamble all day if you don't start in the morning. And
Amen to
that's the
that.
philosophy that we have. Yeah, been saying it kind of all week. Like, have multiple TVs, have multiple phones, multiple sports books to place your bets on. Do whatever you need to do, prepare accordingly. Really, really good week of footy. So let's dive into it and continue to give out some winners.
And this weekend's so great that I had to take games away that I would have bet. Like if there's there, I we just don't
No.
have the time. So we're gonna get into it real quick. Ipswich are taking on Nottingham Forest. It doesn't make sense to me that Nottingham Forest are plus 100. Forest won the reverse fixture 1-0. Ipswich are winless in their last five. Chris Wood score or assist at plus 120. He scored the winning penalty when they won the other game. You just got to give me Forest. I know they've been struggling, but they got the big win last weekend, and Ipswich are done. They're just done. Forest have to win this game. They want to get in the Champions League.
Yeah, the line doesn't make sense, so that does scare me slightly. But you take Forrest on the money line, even money. You don't think any further. Nothing more to add.
Yeah. Manchester City are taking on Brighton. I love Brighton team total over 1.5 at plus 164. It's hitting six straight for Brighton. And in 22 home games for Manchester City, they've given up that up 7 times to some pretty big teams. Um, if you want to go Brighton double chance or Brighton plus 3/4 of a goal, I could be talked into it. This one to me just screams a game that there's going to be a ton of goals in it because Manchester City's defense has been sloppy and both Brighton's hot. If there's ever a time to keep this is a heat check for me, I'm gonna roll the dice on it. There's so many other picks that I like this weekend. So if you don't want to roll with it, I get it. But Brighton are hot. They've been scoring. They've been winning. I think they've won 6 straight on the 5 or 6 straight now on the bounce. They've been scoring goals. I think they can absolutely go to Manchester City and score against this Manchester City team.
100%. I think last week was maybe the first week I got Brighton right the entire season, but they have been proving it. Shout out to them. I think they're maybe the surprise of the season for me in the Premier League just because I had zero expectations. Give me a team that's on this run of form. Like you said, massive winning streak, plus one. They're minus 130. Shop around. You may be able to do better. I've seen it at worse also, but give me Brighton plus a goal. I think you give yourself an awful lot of outs. Got to take him in this form and say no more.
There's a the Premier League title. I'm not going to say what I want to say about it, obviously, but there's a huge race for European spots. So it's a massive game for both City and for Brighton. It could be an absolute banger of a game. So look forward to that. We'll jump to Sunday in the Premier League. Arsenal are taking on Chelsea, London derby. Huge game for both clubs, like I just said. Champions League spot is something that Chelsea need desperately, and I I think they have more attacking pieces than Arsenal. And I know Arsenal got to kind of just go play like a midseason friendly against PSV in the Champions League in the middle of the week, but Chelsea double chance at minus 105. It's right there. And they haven't gotten a point at the Emirates since August of 2021. Obviously, those are different eras for both clubs. So if you don't like Chelsea double chance, what I do like is 11 shots for Chelsea at minus 105 or 12 shots at plus 125. They've done 11 shots 33 times this season, and they had 17 in the reverse fixture. However, Arsenal have only given up 11 10 times this season. Oh, I'm sorry, that 33 times, that was 12 because they've never actually finished on 11 shots. So they've done 12 or more shots 33 times. Arsenal have only given up 11 shots 10 times and 12 shots 8 times. But like I said, Chelsea had 17 in the reverse fixture. This game screams 1-1 draw to me, much like the Manchester United game for Arsenal last weekend, where they just don't have enough quality to get it over the line. Could Cole Palmer break back out, score or assist at plus 180? The numbers, it's dangerously good. It's dangerously good. I
Is
don't know
it
if I'm
though?
going to
He's
play it.
been so disappointing this year because he is one of
Yeah.
my favorite players and he really hasn't done much. This Chelsea team is just like the most uninspired, most unimpressive fourth place team I think I've ever seen in my life. Am I hoping they do something in this game? I absolutely am. I am all for Arsenal chaos and their fans crying. Both teams to score at minus 130. It's tough for me to get involved in a side one way or the other because anything could really happen. Both teams could stink it up, but like you said, a 1-1 draw does seem reasonable. Both teams to score. I didn't think it would be a playable number, so we are absolutely taking it.
All right, we'll jump to Leicester, Manchester United. This is the late game in the Premier League. I think it's like a 3 o'clock kickoff. I'm going again. I'm going to ride it till it stops. Leicester under half a goal, plus 190. Leicester haven't scored at home in the Premier League in 6 games. It's been December 8th. They have not. We are in March. They have not scored in they have not scored a goal at home in 2025 in the Premier League. That is ridiculous. They haven't scored in 5 straight and 7 of their last 9. I know they're going up against a Manchester United defense that stinks. They're bad. They're really bad. But I don't know. I just am gonna continue to ride the Leicester are bad train here. And yeah, if Manchester United screw me over and give a penalty and that's where we die, that's you know what? At plus 190, I'm 100% okay dying on that sword.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to give out a similar plus 190 play, and the fact that it's also plus 190. Bruno Fernandes, anytime goal scorer. I think he is the
Ooh.
driver of this team. He needs to be. They're not very good. They're not scoring a ton of goals. So, um, do I want to get involved with the team total? Probably not. Even though Leicester are really, really bad. So, let's take a shot and hit Bruno at plus 190.
I love that. I love that a lot. He has been. I've said a lot. I've slandered Bruno Fernandez a lot in my life. And you know what? This year he is more than proving to me that he is an incredible player, and he is full on dragging this Manchester United team
All the
into.
way to 13th place,
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just going to say safety because if he wasn't there, who knows where this team is?
for sure.
We will jump to the Cup final. Liverpool are taking on Newcastle. Carabao Cup final. Liverpool are trying to repeat as champions of this competition. Newcastle got to the Cup a few years ago and lost to Manchester United. But bad news for Newcastle. No Anthony Gordon due to a very dumb red card. No Lewis Hall. So their entire left side is going to be out. And Sven Botman, their best defender, in my opinion, is also out for this game. Liverpool are now going to be out, though, without Trent Alexander-Arnold, no Joe Gomez, no Connor Bradley, which means they have no natural right back. Those are literally the 3 guys that you would say, oh, these guys will all play at right back for Liverpool. So that's not great either. Liverpool obviously should win this game. But I'm going to play Newcastle 11 shots at minus 115. Liverpool have given that up 20 times this season, but still only lost twice. And Newcastle have hit that in 26 of their 37 matches. If you want to take it up to 12 at plus 135, Liverpool have given that up 19 times, and Newcastle have done that in 24 of their 37 games. And then last and certainly not least, I am going to take Mo Salah 2 shots on target at plus 125, or you can take him 4 shots in the game at plus 115. He's hit 13 times this season. He had shots on target or he had 1 shot on target technically in the PSG game, but he's one of those guys that I think comes out of that. And also, he hasn't really had an iconic moment at Wembley for Liverpool. Last year's Carabao, he was out. He was taken off after 28 minutes in the 2022 FA Cup. And in the 2022 Carabao Cup, he was average. He had 5 shots in that game, though, before they ended up winning on penalties. But yeah, I don't know. I think Liverpool take care of business. This kind of screams like a Liverpool win 2-1 or 3-1. I do expect this game to open up, but it's a cup final, so I can't in good conscience bet overs here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I do kind of think Liverpool bounced back from disappointment in the Champions League. I mean, disappointment depending on how you look at it. Probably not disappointing before the season, you'd say if they made it this far, that's pretty good, but disappointing with how they've played all year. They're going to win the league. You won't say it. Let me say it. It would take a catastrophe for them to not win the league. So they do have that to fall back on. This is Newcastle's only chance at anything. Now, do I think Liverpool win this game? I do. Do I have a little bit of pause because of the injuries that you spoke about? Do maybe the little bit of letdown and mentality? Newcastle definitely playing with house money. I think those are all factors. I'm going to take my favorite bet when it comes to cup finals, and that is there's two bets here. So do what you need to do, split a unit, do a quarter of a unit, do a tenth of a unit, whatever you like. Liverpool to win on penalties plus 1500, Newcastle to win on penalties plus 1500. So essentially hedging there, you're getting plus 750, I suppose, on either team to win on penalties. You, as a Liverpool fan, will now tell me that Liverpool have been to penalties, what, like five straight cup finals or something like that within England. I made that number up, but I feel like every time I watch the Carabao Cup final or the whatever, they are in a penalty kick shootout. So
The
it
last
it just
the last three English Cup finals that they've gone to at Wembley actually it might even be four. It's probably four. Have all gone to extra time. It's five. It's definitely five.
keep
Yeah. So
going.
it extra time at a minimum. So the draw and regulation.
Plus three something, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. I don't have the lines in front of me. Yeah, because let's see, 20. The first cup final I watched for Liverpool was the 2012 Carabao Cup final. They went to extra time against Cardiff and went to pens. And then they went to the Carabao Cup final in like 2016 against City and lost on pens. And then that was Klopp's first year. And then they went to three more cup finals with Klopp and all went to extra time. And the only one they won in extra time was the Carabao Cup with Van Dijk last season, the absolute like the miracle team. It's funny, I was looking back at that lineup and it's like Chelsea had their full starting 11 and Liverpool very much were playing kids at like the 60th minute and somehow won that game. I still don't know how that happens. So yeah, probably the sharpest play is draw. Um, and I'm also a big believer, and especially in finals, second half most goals. I don't even know what the line is,
Yep.
but the first 45 minutes is two teams. It's like when two dogs meet. They're just
Well,
sniffing each other out. Like you never
listen,
you don't get a
I
lot of fast
I
starts.
want to hop on every week and at least give out one to two big swings. Like I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's a lock. I'm not saying take a full unit on it, but this happens an awful lot more than you think. Plus 1500. So to look at it another way, like if you told me, hey, one out of every 15 cup finals needs to go to penalties for you to hit this bet. Well, we've seen way more than that, way more frequently than that. So I think it's a good shout.
All right, we'll go to Spain. Atletico Barcelona is, oh my God, what a game. They just played to a 4-4 draw earlier a couple weeks ago in the Copa del Rey semifinals. Atleti stole a late winner at Barcelona um, much earlier in the season. Um, Interesting goal numbers here that I have. And then I have two things I actually like, but interesting. Lewandowski anytime goal scorer plus 105. It's he's one of those guys that if he's plus number, I like it.
He's like leading the
Rafinha,
league in goals, right? Like
yeah,
somehow, without
yeah,
even like I don't remember one goal that he scored, but somehow he has the most.
exactly. Rafinha plus 180, Lamine Yamal plus 250. I like a lot. I would probably take Lamal down to score or assist because you'll probably get it still at like plus 150. Julian Alvarez plus 185. But the two things I like, Atleti team total over 1.5. They've scored twice against Barcelona. Their last two, it's plus 125. I think I'm going to play the Barca money line at plus 115
Yep.
because they
Yep.
they just walked past Benfica and Atletico Madrid I mean, you want to talk about I think Atletico Madrid got robbed worse than PSG did in the first leg against Liverpool. I really do. That is one of the most horseshit calls I've ever seen in my entire sporting life of watching sport on a professional, semi-professional, high school level. I've never seen such a more contentious call made and casually just, oh yeah, play on here, Real Madrid take the penalty now. I mean, you want to call Liverpool, like get the fuck out of here. Real Madrid made a deal with the devil that it's unmatched. Like, there's that old saying about the Champions League: two teams of 11 play for 120 minutes, and then Real Madrid wins the Champions League, and it has never been more true than it was on Wednesday afternoon. And then look, if you were the genius who put a ticket on Real Madrid at a plus 1,000 or more number going into the knockout stages, like Nick was, then good for you. I'm sure you're all very happy. I obviously gave you guys Real Madrid plus 900 last season, and we cashed that. But they're inevitable, and it's
If you want to argue that they got outplayed, I'm with you 100%. I don't think there's a debate there. I think Atleti did everything they possibly could over two legs to get this result. Played really, really well, and they really limited Vinny Jr. and Mbappe to nothing. Was the call the right call? Yeah, it's tough for me to argue. Is it a good rule? Is it a good call? That's a completely different argument, but shit happens and Real
yeah,
finds a way and they did again. So I will happily take my ticket and move on. Um, tough year for Atleti, right? And this game is like massive. There's 1 point between them in the standings, between three teams
yeah, it's
for La Liga right
insane.
now. Atleti's at home. That's massive. I do expect them to kind of bounce back, but really tough to bet against Barcelona in the form that they're in. And they're the league leaders. And I have a rule. You know me. If you get the league leaders at plus money, you take that bet. Doesn't matter. Don't care the circumstances. Don't care what week it is. Don't care where the game is. Don't care what happened last game. Don't care what happened between these two teams the last five times. League leaders at plus money. Barcelona plus 115 money line. The end.
We move on to Germany. Stuttgart are taking on Leverkusen. And you want to talk about head loss? It's happening in Leverkusen right now. No Florian Wirtz for Leverkusen. I'm on Stuttgart, draw no bet at plus 120 or money line at plus 200. Stuttgart are 1-5-0 in their last six against Leverkusen, and Leverkusen have now lost three straight. Leverkusen are on tilt. It's time to cash in. We're fading Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso is going to get the lineup wrong. He's not going to play the right striker. He's gonna play Frimpong in the wrong position. Go back to the you want a title and you went unbeaten in the league and then you changed away from that formation. What are we doing, bro? Right now, give me Stuttgart. I have no idea what's going on with Stuttgart. Give me Stuttgart.
Stuttgart's
Plus,
okay. They're going through a little bit of a rough patch, but they're an undervalued team. They're really good at home. A plus 115 draw no bet, I think is a fair number for them. Um, I don't know. I feel like your tilt on Leverkusen is clouding you just a little bit here, which is fair. I think Leverkusen also have come back down to earth, which was inevitable. It had to happen, but it does seem like Xavi's kind of like trying to outthink himself, outcoach himself. Like you didn't need to do all that, bro. You don't fix something that's not broken. So
play the fucking hits.
yeah, I'm kind of with you. If you're gonna do that, I think a Stuttgart team total isn't out of the question. Also at plus 125, I think an over 2.75 at minus 130 is okay. I don't really have a super duper strong opinion on this game either way, just because I think just everything around it's tricky.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I kind of wrote this game down as like it's big. We should talk about it, but I think there's a bigger conversation of Leverkusen are dead. I mean, they lost to I think was it what, Werder Bremen last week in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Bayern lost the game as well. Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
craziest
yeah,
part about
yeah,
it.
yeah. All right, we'll jump to France, Le Classique. PSG and over 3.5 at plus 160. They've done that in 10 of their 19 games in 2025, and they've done that in five of their nine League One games. They're just a buzzsaw. Marseille haven't scored against them in like the last like four or five matches. But I do think this Marseille team can score against them, considering the fact that's why I like the over 3.5 a little bit more. It's just
Yep.
that PSG just did well, look, they just did play a gut wrenching 120 minutes on
Yep.
the road on Tuesday. I know they have all the way till Sunday to recover, but like Marseille are a good team. You're getting a really good number. I think you can get Mason Greenwood at like plus 240 or plus 250 to get on the score sheet, and he is one of the better goal scorers in League One. Um, yeah, first half over 1.5 at plus 104. I don't hate, but both of these teams tend to be second half teams. And you want a crazy one. Ousmane Dembele is minus 115 goal scorer, but he's plus 500 for a brace. And in this run of the last 19 games, where he's been on insane form, he's done that seven times. One of those games he didn't even start. So plus 500 for him to continue this form. He will certainly start against one of the best French teams in the country. Um, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's ever a time to fade PSG. They haven't lost a game in the league. They're obviously, we talked about them in the Champions League. Like, is this the spot to take a stab with Marseille +1,
I could see
+1
it.
and a quarter, plus one
Well,
and a
plus
half
one and
even?
plus 1.5 or 1.25. I could be talked into. Plus one, I don't. I plus one feels like it's just gonna push, and if it's gonna push,
Yeah.
then I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever.
So just food for thought. The only thing I'll say is proceed with caution, but I do still expect them to kind of come out and run. Over 3.5 at -110 just by itself seems a lot safer. Not that I expect PSG to lose or drop points, but 2-2 isn't out of the question. So just throwing
No,
out
it's
those
not.
options for you.
Yeah, the French fans are gonna go bonkers for this game. All right, let's jump to Italy. We jump back in time. Milan are taking on Como on Saturday. And first I was like, ooh, do I go full Nick on this and take Como plus three-quarters of a goal at -125? Do I go double chance at +105? And then it was just staring me in the face. It's the plus money play. It's both teams are scoring over 2.5 at +105. It's hitting 4 of the last 5 for Milan, 10 of their 18 games in 2025, and 3 in the last 5 for Como, in 6 of their 10 in 2025, and it hit in the reverse fixture. Como are good, Milan are bad.
Yes. Yeah, Como's been fantastic. I think they're up to 13th place. I was right about them pretty much the entire season. Now the last month they've turned it on and they've actually beaten some really good teams. They've generated a lot of offense. This weird thing where they have Nico Paz and he was crushing it behind the striker, and then they decided they really have no striker, so we're going to play him as a false nine. That hasn't worked out too well for them, but I'm not the coach of Como. The
You're
reality here
not
is
Cesc Fabregas?
if I'm not. I am a co-host of Plus Money Podcast, which is
Then,
better.
then
Um,
whose agent have I been paying for the last 6 weeks?
so Milan need this win. Like this is one of those situations where I've been burned by them for 28 weeks now, and I will not be mad if anybody doesn't follow this advice. But they need the win. Like there's not a more must-win team right now in Italy than Milan, and it's -130 on the money line. They're at home. Pulisic maybe is healthy now, or maybe is rested. With the international break coming up, like teams have to go all in this week. -130 is a little too good of a number, even though Milan has burned us in the past. So have to take a shot with the money line.
All right, we'll jump to Sunday morning, very early. Venezia, Napoli. Napoli need this more than anything in the world. We keep saying this is a must-win game for Napoli. This certainly is a must-win game because Atalanta Inter later in the afternoon could really seal things. But I'm still going to go both teams to score because it's hit in 8 straight for Napoli. They cannot keep a clean sheet, and it's hitting 5 of the last 10 for Venezia. +106, good enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. I was going Napoli winning over 1.5 at -110 because,
I
like
don't
you
hate
said,
that.
yeah, they have to do it.
They have to. I mean, well, if that's the case, then you might as well kick it up to 2.5 or take Napoli and both teams to score. You'll get a really crazy number.
You could. It's
Um,
+155 if you want to do
yeah,
that. But I
yeah,
mean, could I also see a Napoli 2-0 win? Yeah.
yeah. I could too. I could. And then Atalanta Inter, and bro, I have no idea where to go with this game. But did you know that Inter have won 7 straight against Atalanta
I did know.
in the Battle of the Nerazzurri, or however you pronounce it, the black and blues in Italy? Inter fully are. They're the real ones, and Atalanta are your Costco brand. But I don't hate both teams scoring over 2.5 at +110, just because of look with looking back, Atalanta kind of feel back. I don't know if they're really back, but I do think they can get on the score sheet. Inter draw no bet at -110, Inter money line at +170, Inter team total at over 1.5 at +145. The team total over 1.5 at +145 kind of feels the safest, which I still say through gritted teeth because it's Inter and they could just win the game 1-0 and be boring and annoying. But they did, I don't know. They rested they were only up 2-0 in the Champions League and fully rested their, Lautaro. So
Yep.
maybe Thuram, he's had a very good year, goal scorer if the number's good. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You might have a better read.
No, I mean, listen, it's a it's a huge game. Everything that you said, the play, the sharp play, the likely correct play is Inter draw no bet at -110 because of everything you said. They are also the league leaders. They fall into what I just talked about 5 minutes ago. You kind of take the league leaders at plus money, at even money. They're +165 on the money line if you're so inclined. Atalanta are better on the road, so that all supports that case. You're never seeing a number on these team totals the rest of the year. Atalanta's plus 120, Inter's plus 125. It just seems silly to me. I
I got
think like
I got it at plus 146.
yeah, that's kind of insane. I think the over at minus 120 by itself, over 2.5, is kind of insane. And you have four of the top five leading goal scorers in Serie A featuring in this game, all in different patches of form. But if you're giving me plus 200 on Retegui, who leads the league in goals,
Yeah.
I like that. If you're giving me plus 250 on Lookman, if you're giving me plus 225 on Lautaro, if you're giving me plus 250 on Turan, like you can't play all of them. I mean, theoretically you could, but pick what
You
you
won't make
like.
money,
There's not a
yeah.
wrong answer there. It's some of these guys are going to score goals, and this is a game. It's 2 goals are needed to win. So if you believe in one of these teams, you have to imagine they're scoring too. It should be a fascinating game. Would love to see Atalanta win it just to see what it does to the league the rest of the year. If Inter walk away with three, kind of feels like we've settled that debate and we can carry on about our way.
Yeah, I think if Inter win this game, I don't see them uh I don't see there's not many tough games left on their schedule. They got past Napoli, obviously.
Champions League is their tough
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, exactly. They don't Juve are done. They don't have to play them again. Um this is kind of like I mean I think they're outside of the Copa, they're done with Milan in the league. So it's like I don't know where the losses are coming from for Inter. They'll just grind their way to another title. All right, parlays for the weekend. I don't have a great read for goal scorers. We got burned last week on like half of my guys not starting. So here's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go. I have a Saturday both teams to score parlay, and I have a Sunday both teams to score parlay. Manchester City, Brighton. 10 of the 17 games for City in 2025. Only 6 of the 12 for Brighton. But like we said, we definitely think Brighton can get a goal at Man City. Bournemouth and Brentford. 7 of the 12 for Bournemouth, 4 of the 11 for Brentford. This one just kind of feels like, I don't know, these two offenses, they should score goals. Milan and Como, we already talked about them, but 8 of the 10 for Como and 25, and 13 of the 18 for Milan. That's plus 263. Then Sunday, the aforementioned Stuttgart Leverkusen game. It's 9 of 13 games for Stuttgart have been both teams to score, 7 of 15 for Leverkusen. I am going to take PSG and Marseille, 11 of the 19 PSG games and 6 of the 11 Marseille matches. And then Atletico and Barcelona, 8 of 17 for Atleti and 9 of 17 for Barcelona. That, like, I don't know, those games for I will say for Marseille, they're going up against a PSG team that just played 120 minutes. Barcelona going up against an Atletico team that played 120 minutes, and Atleti are at home. Um, the only game that I think of those six that I'm maybe remotely worried about is like, what if Bournemouth just keep a clean sheet? But Brentford, I don't know, man. They've been scoring goals. They've been
No, that
cheeky.
seems like a 6, 7 goal game to me. I don't know. Just
Yeah,
how's that
it
feel?
should be. It absolutely should be, but we'll see. We will not be back next week as we are going to international break mode. Sad.
Unless,
No.
just kidding, guys. Do not bet international breaks seriously. Only for fun.
Yes, yes. International breaks is for it's like when you play the penny sheets. Like I literally just take the dollars and cents that are like remaining to get me down to a unit and like a full unit, and I'll put that in like a three-leg parlay of like Germany to score 2 against Lithuania, like Spain to score 3 against Moldova, and England to win against Scotland at home, and then I'll inevitably get mad at myself for losing that bet because England
Yes.
fucking suck. Um,
Accurate.
uh, so yeah, don't bet international breaks seriously, and also watch out for the U.S. because I don't think they're gonna win the Nations League. But that's another conversation for another day. Um, we'll be back after the break. Of course, the Premier League is doing something really fun and different and interesting. Um, it's an FA Cup weekend when we come back for a break, so uh, we'll be back. I mean, there's some decent FA Cup games. Brighton. Bournemouth, Man City. I know they're playing. There's a London derby of Fulham and Palace. Um, but yeah, maybe we'll talk some FA Cup, but there'll definitely be big games in the other leagues. So we'll get you something ready for right out of international break, and then the Premier League will do a midweek games, where Liverpool obviously have to play Everton in the middle of the week once again because we can't play them on a weekend apparently. Um, but everybody enjoy your weekends. Best of luck. Oh, subscribe to the podcast. We're 2 subscribers away from 300. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys as always for watching, for listening, for liking. Enjoy the games this weekend. Best of luck. We'll see you soon.